During COVID, during isolation, how do we stay connected? What are we staying connected to? What's the purpose? So we've asked the questions. Hopefully you're going to ask yourself the questions. What does Immanuel Lutheran Church mean to me? What does it mean to you? And why do you serve, give, live boldly in this place? Why should you do that? And finally, if Immanuel Lutheran Church were gone tomorrow, what, if anything, would be missing in Silverton? We've asked people in the church that. We've asked a couple of our neighbors that. And all along, I hope that you will ask yourself those same questions and listen carefully for your answers.
Family.
Well, I think of you guys as our neighbor.
It's my second home in a lot of ways.
I feel like I could depend on the church as I would expect to be able to depend on my own family for support, for guidance, for acceptance, for love, all the things we need, especially in times like this.
A safe place, a place where you can be vulnerable, a place where you can encounter other people and encounter God as well. It's a place where you're allowed to become who you are.
One thing that has always resonates with me during the service is when you or Immanuel gives the invitation to communion and all are welcome. I remember the first Sunday that we attended here, you said that, and I almost got goosebumps because that's much closer to my theological thinking than the church that we previously attended, which is more of a closed communion. Whoever wants to come to the rail is between them and the Lord.
Immanuel means to me a place, a time, a destination. As I go on my journey toward God, I'm accompanied by other people on their journey toward God.
There was a side of me, a spiritual side, that had been asleep or had withered, and being here has reawakened it and allowed it to grow.
I've always been amazed and in admiration of our youth when they give their faith statements, and I thought, oh, I could never do that. And then here I am. I'm sort of giving my faith statement. So I think I've grown in my faith here.
Related to my ministry, related to my sense of call, it has encouraged me to look beyond to the barriers that I thought I had, to the cultural barriers, to the language barriers. In so many ways, it has made me develop a bolder sense of service.
Immanuel to me is just such a hopeful congregation and place where there's this spirit of service that is radical and complete and broad thinking. I know personally in advocating for marginalized community members, I know that Immanuel is an ally. And when there's a need and we're not sure how to fill it, I know that Immanuel will be there for people. I think in a lot of churches, there are a lot of people who feel like they are outside of sort of the breadth of the love of that church. And I don't think people feel that with Immanuel, because Immanuel has lived this commitment to radical hospitality in their support for the warming shelter when we were first getting started, in their support for individual members of the community who found themselves in crisis and really needed a place to be and needed that support.
We have a good relationship with a lot of churches in town. You guys are on the short list of people who I know I can call who will be willing to participate in whatever shenanigans we're getting up to, whether it's helping a family that needs housing or having a difficult community conversation. When
people or congregations or communities feel fearful about saying yes, Immanuel says yes with courage. And there's a lot of courage to this congregation that says we will step into hard places and we will show up with all of this grace and leadership. And that is powerful. That changes faith communities across the community, I think. It drives other congregations to say yes too. And that means a lot, especially to the marginalized who are used to being left behind.
I had two grandmas that were heroes of mine. Even though they lived really different lives and had different personalities, a common characteristic was their generosity of spirit. One grandma had a peach orchard along the banks of the John Day River, and during peach picking time, anybody that stopped left with a box of peaches. The other grandma was a good cook, and there was always an extra place setting at her table. Even though I don't have a peach orchard or a big table in my kitchen, I understand the gratitude and pleasure of giving generously.
I believe that this place has an energy in their people. I believe that there's people who have a passion to serve others in collaboration and in connection with other people. And I think that has much to do, that encouraged me as well to feel part of that, to share that identity of service for the community.
I've never been one to be able to stand around and watch somebody else work if I can pitch in and help. And that's what I see here at Immanuel. I would say that I've always been inspired by how many people, different people I see actively involved, particularly the technicians that were here Sunday after Sunday after Sunday after Sunday. And I thought, don't they rotate out, or do they take different Sundays or whatever? And there's so many people like that it's kind of an inspiration.
I just think that that's what we're supposed to do as Christians. Spread the word, and then you use your gifts. Vacation Bible School. I like kids. That's why I do help with the kids in going through confirmation. When you're that age, being middle school, that's a tough age. And I think it's a critical age. I've always said that that's when kids make up their mind about their religion or what they believe. It's also when they decide what's important to them.
It's my family, my church family. I feel strongly about family, so I don't use the term lightly. And I personally feel like you have certain obligations as family to take care of one another, whether that's emotional support, financial support, sticking up for one another, being there when things are bad, being there to celebrate when things are really good, and I'm able to do the things that I enjoy doing with the church and for the church as part of the church. So I get fulfillment just as much.
When I was younger, I gave generously of my time and my energy. This year, when my 401k, when it came time for the disbursement of the funds, I had a lot of fun deciding where those donations would go.
We don't grow, we don't benefit, we don't help the world if we're not willing to be bold. It's needed now more than any other time in my life.
My own sanity.
For one, the programs.
Growing hope, Habitat for Humanity, and all the other things we do.
I know that the next time there was anything of community concern, we would miss your voice and we would miss what you guys are really generous with your resources.
Two, I just think we are what our mission statement is. We are very welcoming.
Our mission is to welcome, accept and encourage all people as we follow Jesus. We really try to put that into action.
Most places in this day and age are not welcoming. We don't judge.
A place that really welcomes everybody as they are. A place where you're able to not get it right at the first time, but that you're able to learn.
The good works that happen here, those are a lot. You can name all of the good works.
How involved we are with programs and ministries outside of our own building.
Feeding up the poor through GHG. We feed the poor in town through SACA. We feed the kids at ASAP. Again, this church kind of likes feeding.
Immanuel puts its money where its mouth is all the time. The infusion of financial support into the community from Immanuel is probably unknown to a lot of people. It's just this quiet support that's always there.
I'd miss the fun that we have, the creativity, the sharing of talents, the acceptance and forgiveness. I would miss the opportunity to immerse myself in the mysteries.
We would be missing leadership in the community. This really powerful, gentle, collaborative leadership that says, like, we will show up, Pastor Leah and Manuel will show up with their collars on when there's a hard conversation to be had, and they will be this peaceful presence in the community that's taking a powerful moral stand and doing it in a way that invites more people into that. And when I think to the kids that have grown up in Immanuel and are part of this community, I just think of this amazing force of youth leadership and these kids who have this ability to be strong and clear in their values, but do it kindly and compassionately. I'm just so impressed with the young people of Immanuel, recently especially.
Regarding Latino ministry, we have had that conversation that Latino ministry tends to be understood as something that you work with Latinos. At Immanuel Lutheran Church, we have learned that Latino ministry is a ministry for all. All can be part of, that we can learn from that, and that we can encourage others to find that richness in our diversity, where we can keep growing and develop relationships together.
Our congregation, our city, our world is continuing to grow and evolve. Sometimes it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I feel like there is an enlightenment that Immanuel brings to this town. It doesn't necessarily fix all the problems when you look at things like at-risk kids, SACA, all of the things that we do and we're involved with, even to the peaceful protest last week. To think of us, to think of you, to think of our church family not being there to help us with that 2 steps forward. Let's hope it remains just a hypothetical question.
Excellent. Excellent.
Absolutely.